Oh, is this? I think we're good. We're on. All right. This is gonna be just a stream of consciousness. I'll probably end up deleting it after. Let's be honest. So I want to talk about phenomenology. Um, this is gonna get into sort of a it's a spiritual, I guess, concept. Spiritual, to call it a spiritual concept doesn't quite seem articulate enough, but for all intents and purposes, that'll work. So phenomenology. Materialism is the belief that reality, as far as we're concerned with experiencing it, is comprised of the physical world, the physical universe, and that like we're just hurtling through space. We're just like a cosmic accident that humans just came to have this level of consciousness, and actually, like everything else will just die off, and it'll all none of it will have mattered, I guess. Um, I'm not a materialist. I don't believe that reality is just the physical world. I believe this is phenomenology is the belief, and this is actually into metaphors after. I'll try to define it, um, and I want to talk about some concepts that kind of help me understand this articulate. Like I've always been a phenomenologist, I guess, even like since childhood, but I hadn't really articulated it, or I came to articulate it as I got older. Um, and I'm still articulating it more and more as I continue to learn. So phenomenology, the idea is that reality, as far as people are concerned, and we're the only ones that are concerned because as far everything we've discovered, there's nothing else that we know of that's more conscious than we are, so to speak. Like there's something about humans that is absolutely different from animals. Our consciousness, we have really, really complex emotional systems, and I'm not saying that there aren't that animals can't feel emotion or morality. There are cases where animals have, shown morality or conscious or self consciousness, but it's not the same as human consciousness. Human consciousness is leaps and bounds beyond anything that science has can understand. Um, so back to what is reality? What like reality might as well only be what humans experience, because if humans weren't here, there would be no way to measure size. There would be no way to measure distance. Like all of the things that would remain in essence wouldn't matter because there wouldn't be anything conscious to perceive them in a objective kind of way. So what that means, okay, I'll use an example. When you see when you walk up to a table, you don't think about all the different chemical elements and scientific aspects of the table that make it a table. What you see is a tool that you can use. You see something that you can place things on. A table. That's what a table is, something that you place things on. So you don't see, and when I say see, I mean like I mean something a bit more specific. Like the way you interact with the world, you see tools that you can use. You don't see objects. You think you see objects. Everything looks like objects, but especially as you get older, your brain filters out things that aren't relevant. So you're only ever using what tools you can to move forward in time. So phenomenology, I keep kind of coming around because I have to come at this from a lot of different angles because it's a complicated sort of concept. Phenomenology is the belief that reality is the joining or the intersection of consciousness and the objective world. It's not just the objective world. Like you can't, in a sense, you can't have the objective world without the consciousness. So, but there's to see the world through that lens, there's a lot of implications there. Um, I was listening to a scientist, Donald Hoffman. I think it's Hoffman, Don Hoffman, and he said something that was pretty fascinating. He said, "Nature doesn't. Nature selects for that which will survive and procreate. That's true across all animals, all plants, everything. That's true for humans too. The way that humans are constructed evolutionarily is so that we can survive and reproduce. There's a lot of things that we are not selected for, that for some reason we think we are. Like, we're not selected to understand reality. We're not, it's not like that being which understands the nature of reality best lasts. That's just not the case. It's like, no, there's more important things. You have to be able to survive and procreate. So that which survives and procreates keeps living. So there's huge implications with that. Like, we're not necessarily designed to understand reality, and people think that where the where their knowledge reaches its limits, they think that that's like an insight into what the edges of reality are. But there's absolutely no way to know that, and I don't believe that's the case at all. And that's where atheism comes in. I almost don't even want to bring in religion or atheism, because I know that'll divide a lot of people. But this does kind of sort of start getting into religion a little bit, because phenomenology actually, okay, if we're to take an aside with religion, if you the Christians say that life is the joining of heaven and earth. So that makes sense metaphorically with the phenomenologist worldview, because, like I said, it's like reality isn't just the objective world, it's the joining of the objective world with our consciousness. So you could say that the objective world, the physical world, our bodies, everything about us that's a result of evolution, everything about us that's animal, that's, in some sense, that's separate from our human consciousness aspect. And that human consciousness aspect is such a singular thing compared to everything else. Um, like, the means by which we can understand reality doesn't come from that animal evolution part of us. It can only come through the human part of us, that, we interact with each other and we develop ideas through time, and things become more and more sophisticated, and we understand things more and more deeply. Um, and this brings me to the two-slit experiment. There was I haven't seen the video in a long time, so I'll try to explain this from memory. And I'm this is crazy quantum physics, and I don't really understand everything about it. Basically, the whole idea was that what they found out through the two-slit experiment. You can check this. This is on YouTube. Just look up the two-slit experiment. They concluded that electrons, they don't they don't assemble unless they are being witnessed. That's really crazy. Like, what it really means is, and I don't even fully understand. It's the tree falling in the woods part. If a tree falls in the woods and no one's there to hear it, does it make a sound? And that's actually really that's the fundamental question underneath everything I'm talking about here. Is like, what is reality? It's like, you can say that the tree does make a noise even if nobody's there to hear it, but what effect does that have on reality as far as anybody who's alive is concerned? Because that's really what reality is. Reality is like tools. It's tools. It's things that we can use, whether it's information or whether it's objects. It's like the human experience is about the experience. It's not about the things, the physical objects inside of it. So I'm probably not going to talk for too much longer about this, because I'm kind of running out of. I'm still. I've been thinking about this a lot in the last week. A lot of people have been talking about this. Jonathan Peugeot, Paul Vanderklay, what was that scientist? Don Hoffman. Don Hoffman. Um, And so I've been kind of just diving into this, and I've just realized more and more as I've gotten into it that I've always sort of lived in this manner or believed this way. That like the Christians would say life is sacred, and like I kind of believe that. I think because all we have is our own experience of the world. That's I don't know where I'm going with this. Um, if you believe that the world is just a physical place of dead objects, there's no morality attached to that. There's no reason, and obviously, you know, a lot of people make the argument that if you take atheism too seriously, it's like why not kill? Why not murder? And obviously, no, level-headed atheist would ever go kill somebody just because there's no God. That's ridiculous. I have nothing against atheists. I have a lot of sympathy for atheists. Actually, I wasn't even raised in a religious household, so I could have become an atheist, but I just always had sort of a thing for I don't know. Ever since I was a child, despite not having a religious upbringing, it always seemed to me that there was just something more to life than the everyday motions, the trivialities, that there's something aesthetic about that which transcends everything, that is more vital to to our well-being than day-to-day pleasures. That it's like when you look back on your life when you're old or something, you think about like what you've accomplished. You think about the really deep, important things, and those deep, important things. They're spans of time. They're not physical. They're ethereal, and those are the things that characterize humanity. When you think about what is human life, you think about all of the wonders and the darkness. You think of the joy. You don't think about the mundane stuff. And the objective, scientific, hard, physical world is just a bunch of mundane stuff. And clearly with human beings, there's something else going on. We live inside of a narrative kind of story. We see ourselves as heroes or villains, and that stuff's really important. I think that those things that transcend our knowledge, it's more real. It's like are numbers real? Numbers, they're just not like they're abstract concepts, but they are real. They affect everything. Numbers, math, like it's questions like that. And math exists. Science wouldn't exist if human consciousness wasn't here to kind of develop it and work on it. So when science, materialist-minded people say that the world is nothing but dead matter and a bunch of data, it's like, to who? To some objective God, because you don't believe in God, right? Um, so this whole thing, it comes, I started off talking about spirituality, like, what is spirit? This is something else I've thought of, like, spirit is essence. It's the essence of things, like the table. A table, when I say the word table, you picture a table in your mind. This is kind of like getting into Plato's forms. You picture a table in your mind because you're picturing the essence of all tables, the tabliest table. um, Everything is essence. So and you can apply that to a dead object like a table, which is a table is always a table across time. It can look different, it can be shaped different, but it's still the table that you use to put things on. And so it gets unbelievably deep, because it's like, if everything has an essence, what is the essence of the human? The essence of the human is so deep and complex. So it's like, human beings, we have a natural tendency, I think, to want to make progress, and that can be for good or evil. I'm not making a moral judgment on anything, but we want to move things forward. So, I almost forgot what I was saying earlier. So when we look at essence, like what is the essence of a person who is able to make progress? It's like it comes down to morals. You have to have these good morals to move forward in the world, and that's what all these different religious systems were trying to figure out. Religion isn't about science. Religion doesn't care about how, what particles are inside a speck of dirt. Religion is about human beings living in the world, trying to get along and trying to have a meaningful life and trying not to suffer too much, because actually one of the recurring things with any religion is that life is suffering. There's a big thing with the Buddhists. Life is suffering. You're going to suffer. You're going to die. Everybody you know is going to die. There's going to be pain. You're going to get sick. People you love are going to get sick. There's no getting around suffering. So it's like, what can you do to suffer less? And what we do is we observe people who are good at that. We observe heroes, and we write stories about them. And people have written stories about heroes since the beginning of written history. And when you distill all these different heroes, you start to find the best heroes. And out of all those best heroes, you find the best of the best. And eventually you start to get into gods, and people start creating gods, things to worship, because they're trying to figure out how to be the best person they can be, as a society, as an individual, on all those different levels. So, that's related to the phenomenological worldview, because if all you have, not all you have, no, I'm saying that you have a lot. You have a lot more than just this physical world. You have experiences out there waiting for you to have. So you have to try to be better. You have to try to be better than you were yesterday. You have to try to be more courageous. You have to try to do that thing that you want to do that you're afraid to do. You have to expand yourself. And that's what, like any kind of religion or spiritual pathway is about, becoming better. And but the whole reason I'm making this video is because it's not just like a pat on the back. It's not just some self-help guru stuff like you should do. It's like, it's deep inside of us, and it really matters. And I think it's a big issue in today's culture, because you talk about, I'm in America, for anybody who has, I mean, I know YouTube's global. I don't know who could be watching this. I'm in America, and we have this problem lately with mass shootings, which is crazy. It's horrible. Somebody just killing a bunch of innocent people, and everybody. There's a bunch of political crap. Everybody wants to talk about guns or whatever, but everything I've seen, I really do believe that it comes to people have lost their sense of meaning. They've lost their sense of purpose, and the types of people who really go down the rabbit hole of resentment that comes with having no purpose. Those are the people that really end up doing horrible things like mass shootings. So there is sort of a reawakening into religious concepts happening on the internet, and in the undercurrents of YouTube and stuff. People are talking about these things, and I absolutely align with the phenomenologists. There's a sect of atheists. They call themselves secular humanists, and they posit that we can leave religion behind and build a positive moral world without it. But I am hesitant to put a lot of faith in that, because I don't know. What do you guys think? Um, Let me know. I might keep this. I'm gonna watch this back and make sure I don't sound like a rambling crazy person. Probably do, but maybe we can get a discussion going in the comment section. So that is all for now. As soon as I figure out how to stop this video, I'm going to sign out. So thank you for watching. I believe it's right here.